So what if a philosopher from like 2,300 years ago actually held the keys to living a better, happier life today? Well, in this explainer, we're unlocking the practical wisdom of Aristotle. And forget about dusty old textbooks. We're going to build a toolkit of his most powerful ideas, ideas that you can start using right now.
It's really the ultimate question, isn't it? What makes a life go well? It's something we all think about. But one philosopher in ancient Greece didn't just ask the question. He developed a practical, step-by-step system to actually answer it. And that philosopher was, of course, Aristotle. I mean, this was a guy so influential that for centuries, people just called him the philosopher or the master. He wasn't just some thinker living in an ivory tower. He was a doer, a teacher, and an incredibly sharp observer of the human condition.
His resume is pretty stacked. He studied with the one and only Plato, then went on to tutor a young Alexander the Great. Yeah, that Alexander the Great, before he conquered most of the known world. After that, he founded his own school in Athens, the Lyceum. He and his students were known as the Wanderers because he just loved to walk around while teaching, and what he taught was nothing short of revolutionary.
Because here's the thing you have to get about Aristotle. For him, philosophy wasn't some abstract head-in-the-clouds activity. Nope, it was all about practical wisdom. He was fascinated by how things actually work. From how chicks grow inside eggs to the essential question of what makes us, as humans, thrive. So let's dive into 4 of his most powerful answers.
First up, the big one. What makes people happy? Aristotle tackled this head-on, and his answer lies in this brilliant concept he called the golden mean.
He started by just looking around, observing, and he noticed that happy, successful people all seemed to possess certain excellent character traits, which he called virtues. He pinpointed 11 of them, including things you'd expect, like courage and patience, but also stuff like generosity and even wittiness. But, and this is the crucial part, he believed these aren't things you're just born with.
Okay, so if you're not born with them, how do you get them? Well, this is where Aristotle's genius really shines. He saw that every single virtue is actually the perfect midpoint, the golden mean, smack dab in between 2 extremes, or 2 vices. One is the vice of having too little of that quality, and the other is the vice of having way too much. And this is where it stops being theory and becomes a super practical tool. Let's take conversation. On one end of the spectrum, you have boorishness. You know that person, the one who's totally humorless and gets offended by everything? On the other extreme, buffoonery, the person who just has to make a tasteless joke about everything. The virtue, that perfect sweet spot in the middle, is wittiness.
And this just perfectly sums up his whole idea. Becoming a good person is just like learning any other skill. It's all about habit. It takes practice, it takes time, and yeah, it helps to have good teachers. In his view, people who lack virtue aren't wicked. They're just unfortunate. They just never had the right guidance.
So if becoming a good person takes practice and guidance, where do we get it? Well, for Aristotle, one kind of surprising answer was art. Back in his day, the blockbuster entertainment was Greek tragedy. Think of it as the HBO drama of its time. And he saw a really profound purpose in watching terrible things happen to people on a stage.
He even wrote the book on it, identifying the key ingredients for a truly powerful story. He said a great tragedy needs a peripeteia, that's a huge sudden reversal of fortune, and an anagnorisis, that shocking light bulb moment when the hero suddenly realizes the awful truth of their situation.
But why on earth would we put ourselves through that emotional wringer? It all comes down to one powerful word, catharsis. The Greek word literally means cleaning. Aristotle believed that by watching these intense stories, by feeling fear and pity in a safe setting, we get to flush out all those messy, bottled-up emotions, which leaves us feeling more balanced.
So you see, for Aristotle, art is basically emotional training. It reminds us that awful things can happen to even good people, which makes us a little less judgmental, a little less hard-hearted. It totally explains why we're so drawn to things like true crime or gritty dramas. They teach us compassion and make these deep truths about life really stick with us. And this whole idea of learning compassion leads us right into his 3rd great question, which explores one of the most vital parts of a good life. What are friends for? Now, Aristotle didn't think all friendships were the same. He actually broke them down into 3 distinct kinds.
Okay, so first up, you've got what he called friendships of fun. You know, your concert buddy, your gym partner, the people you hang out with because it's a good time. The whole connection is based on shared pleasure, and they're great. But often, when the fun activity stops, so does the friendship.
Then there's type 2, strategic friendships. You can think of these as useful acquaintances, or what we'd probably just call networking today. You're friendly with each other because there's some kind of mutual benefit. It's really transactional, and it tends to fade away once it's no longer useful. But then there's the third kind, the highest form, the true friend. This isn't just someone who's like you. This is someone you care for as much as you care about yourself. Their successes feel like your successes. Their pain is your pain. Together, you actually make each other better, smarter, and more resilient. For Aristotle, this wasn't just nice to have. This was, quite literally, the best part of being alive.
All right, so you're working on your virtues, you're building true friendships, but how do you get your good ideas heard in this crazy, noisy world? This brings us to Aristotle's fourth big question, and boy, is it one we still struggle with every single day. See, Aristotle noticed something that's still painfully true. The best argument doesn't always win the day. So he invented the art of rhetoric. Now, this wasn't about manipulation or trickery. It was about giving good, thoughtful, well-intentioned people the tools to be persuasive so that truth and good ideas could actually win out.
And his advice, it's ridiculously timeless. He said, you have to soothe people's fears. You have to see the emotional side of an issue, not just the logic. You've got to use a little humor, tell stories, and use illustrations to keep people's attention. Because let's face it, attention spans have always been short. He was basically writing the playbook for a great TED Talk 2,000 years early.
The golden mean, catharsis, true friendship, and rhetoric. 4 powerful, practical tools. When you put it all together, it really makes you think. Maybe philosophy only seems impractical because we've just forgotten how to use it the way its greatest masters, like Aristotle, always intended.
So the real question isn't just about what Aristotle thought. It's about what you are going to do with this wisdom. So here's a little challenge. This week, just pick one of these ideas. Will you try to find the golden mean in a tough conversation? Or maybe focus on cultivating one true friendship? The toolkit is right here. The next move? Well, that's up to you.